It is 1 year from the Brexit event that rattled Europe and then triggered a whole series of political consequences in terms of rise of nationalism and populism all over the world, the Trump election after that. And right now we are facing the start of the negotiations with the European Union. What has happened over the last year? Well, first I would say that the fear of a contagion effect from Brexit to other European countries has eased. Europeans have developed a sort of nice response to the challenge of Brexit. Populists have not risen in power in subsequent elections throughout Europe. Think at Netherlands, Austria, and then most notably France. And this is reassuring in the sense that probably Brexit was an event related to a particular country and its particular relation with the EU. In terms also of public opinion, at least in the UK, the last round of elections seems to have shown that people have started realizing the complexity of the Brexit process. There's less of a sentiment of nationalism against the European Union. If you look at the very weak results of the UK Independence Party right after this last round of elections in the UK, and also the difficulties associated to the majority of the Tories government with Theresa May. In Europe, instead, what was perceived as a risk of a threat of disunity of every country going his own way with the United Kingdom and trying to reap for his own country consequences has instead been replaced by a sense of unity. Europeans have remained very clear in the idea that the single market and the four fundamental freedoms, free movement of services, capital, goods and people have to stay there and have to be preserved, and this line has not been challenged over the last year, and this is the current state of the art of the negotiating position of the European Union. Also, the economic risks that were thought would have happened after Brexit have not materialized. The UK has had a good result in terms of economic growth, not outstanding, probably less than it would have happened without Brexit, but still a positive growth rate, while the euro area surprisingly is actually growing more than the UK or the United States over the last 9 months. What remains to be seen and after the start of the negotiations? Well, we still need to pay a lot of attention to this process because many things can go wrong and the negotiation can still end up in a dramatic outcome with no deal, which would be far worse than a hard Brexit. I would say that now everybody foresees what can we call a hard Brexit, in the sense that for sure the UK will not be part of the internal market because of they do not want legitimately to be under the supervision of the Court of Justice, nor they want full free movement of people. However, a deal can still be negotiated in good terms, for example, using the Canada-Europe Free Trade Agreement as a model in which both parties would find a convenient accommodation of the different needs. Of course, there is still a number of issues to be solved. There is the Irish border issue, the budget issue, and the status of the citizens in the countries, but the start of the negotiation last week seemed to show a nice political willingness of both parties to successfully conclude the negotiation. So stay alert, stay tuned, do not lower your level of attention on what is still a very delicate process, but things seems to be nicer than they looked at 1 year ago.